Hello, hi. Welcome back to Suuthing Talks with Susie and Leid. Today's soothing session is going to focus on self-care. Contrary to what you might believe, self-care is not about getting your nails done and your hair done and your pedicure, etc. So, it's time to focus on you. Get comfortable and let's talk. Today's soothing session is going to be focused on self-care. So for all of you in my community who are returning, thank you and welcome. For those of you who are new to Suuthing Talks TV, welcome. When I speak to many of my clients about self-care, they believe that self-care is the same as like stress relieving activities, and it really isn't. Okay, you can attempt to do things to relieve stress, but the reality is you're going to be unsuccessful because you're not taking care of yourself. So you're like, okay, Susan, what are you talking about? It's very simple. An example is trying to work out. So you're working out, but you're not getting enough sleep, and you are fueling your body with processed foods. Like, that is counterproductive. So you have to look at the facts and realize that you have to take care of your basic needs before any relief for stress can actually help you. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So first, I want to just take a brief moment to define what self-care is. It's when you make deliberate attempts or efforts to promote your own physical, mental, and emotional health. Now, I'm sure you guys have read about this, or you've heard it, or, and you're like, okay, these are words that I've heard, but what does that mean? Okay, self-care comes in various forms. It could be as simple as drinking the right amount of water that you're supposed to drink per your, weight. It could be about getting enough sleep every night. That's how simple self-care is. And a lot of us really and truthfully take it for granted. I find that many of my clients, they think of, when they hear the word self-care, they think of it as being selfish, and that it's a luxury that they can't afford because there's not enough hours in the day to do it. Well, here's a newsflash. Self-care needs to be your priority. If you're not taking care of yourself, no one else will, okay? If you're not engaging in self-care, you will be left overwhelmed, tired, and you will not be able to navigate through life's challenges. And life's challenges or adversities are the norm. We're always going through something that's not planned. So you have to know how to get through that without becoming overwhelmed, stressed, etc. So there are 5 areas that I want to talk to you really quickly about where you have to apply self-care. It's a holistic approach that will ensure that you're taking care of mind, body, and soul. So the first is the physical. You have to take care of your body to be healthy. I mean, we all know that, even though we don't do it. In order to live long and to fight disease, we have to take care of our bodies. Physical self-care really includes what you're eating, how much sleep you're getting, how much physical activity you're doing, how well you're caring for your physical needs. But it also includes you getting annual physicals. Like, how many of us don't go and get our physicals or health screenings, especially as you're getting older, right? When you're younger, you do it with your kids. You make sure they have their physical for school or for sports. But us as adults, we don't go once a year. And then on top of that, as you get older into your 40s and 50s, you have to go every 6 months. So we have to do these things. Are you taking your medications as prescribed? Are you taking daily supplements and vitamins? These are things that are part of the physical. Second layer is social. Socialization is essential for self-care because with everything that goes on in life, a lot of times it's not easy to make time for friends and family. And this is a huge mistake. I did this when I became an executive academic director for a school. I was so involved with the work that I made no time for my friends and my family, and I created a huge deficit in my self-care. And I didn't understand why I was feeling the way that I was feeling all the time. But it is because close connections are crucial to your well-being. Whether you realize it or not, when it's gone, you're like, wow, I'm at a deficit. But we don't realize it until it happens. So you have to be very mindful. The best way to nurture and sustain close relationships is to deliberately put time and energy into building your relationships with others. Don't try to put a time limit on this either when it comes to socializing, because it's different for who you're socializing with. The key is to figure out what your social needs are and build enough time in your schedule to create an optimal social life. So the third is the mental layer. The way you think and the things that are filling your mind, those are things that greatly influence your psychological health. Mental self-care includes doing things that keep your mind sharp, like puzzles, reading words with friends on your phone, learning about a subject that might interest you, taking a cooking class, things of that nature. Mental self-care also involves doing things that help you to stay mentally healthy, which includes exercise, meditation, vitamin supplements. Okay, you need to take these things. How you treat yourself also plays an essential role in mental self-care, because you have to have compassion for yourself. You have to accept who you are. You're good, you're bad, and you're indifferent. This is going to help you weed out the limitations that have been put as seeds or planted as seeds in your life, in your childhood. You have to get rid of that. Like, for instance, when I was younger, I was told as a girl, you're not good at math. That's not true at all. And I took that all the way into undergraduate, where I was actually going to the math department for tutoring. And I ended up becoming the tutor. So these things that we hear, we have to take them away. We have to remove these limitations so that we can move on. The fourth layer is spiritual. Now, research supports that a lifestyle that includes religion or spiritual advance really generally leads to a healthier lifestyle. I'm a Christian. However, I don't believe that you don't have to be religious to nurture your spirituality, okay? You can do things that center on helping you develop a deeper sense of meaning of who you are, of understanding or connecting with the environment around you. Everything in the universe, everything in nature, whether, and I say this because I don't want to put any types of limitations as to what anybody's personal, spiritual, or religious beliefs are. We're all one. We're all humans. We need to respect one another, and this is part of your spirituality. So whether you're praying, you're fellowshipping, you're attending a service at a house of worship, you're meditating, spiritual self-care is vital. So the fifth and last layer is emotional. It's important to develop healthy coping skills to deal with all of our emotions. A lot of times we want to, kind of tuck away, these uncomfortable emotions, and we can't. Uncomfortable emotions like anger and sadness and anxiety. We have to really deal with these emotions head on, because if we don't, it becomes a problem. So emotional self-care includes doing activities to help you recognize and express your feelings on a regular basis. Now, I know that this is a big issue with couples. So you have to be able to say how you feel when you feel it in a very appropriate way for people to hear you and not be on the defense, right? So whether you're talking to your significant other or a close friend about how you feel, you have to set aside time for leisurely activities that help you process your emotions, like, walks or even journaling. These things help you with your emotional self-care, because you have to read and really embrace who you are emotionally in order for you to be able to deal with different emotions. A lot of people have lost loved ones and friends, a lot of coworkers. A lot of people have lost their jobs. They're in financial issues. All of these are emotions that we have to deal with, or else we're not going to be able to come out of this in a very healthy place. okay? And we be able to rise above, because this too shall pass, okay? It is very necessary to consider, if you're not quite comfortable discussing your emotions with those people, that you should seek out an appropriate source like a life coach, a person like me, okay? It's important to incorporate, your emotional self-care into your life, because if it is a deficit, it can lead to coping behaviors that are maladaptive, like overeating, self-medicating, and different types of addiction. So we don't want that. You need to develop a self-care plan. Now, self-care isn't the same routine or strategy for everyone. It is an individual approach that involves a very specific, customized plan for the person. For example, a self-care plan for a college student who is mentally stimulated all of the time and has, an overly busy social life, that person might need to focus on, physical self-care. Whereas an empty nester or a retired person may have to incorporate more time and effort into social self-care so that, they can make sure that their social needs are being met. So in order to create a successful self-care plan, you need to assess the areas in which, in your life that need more attention. And you also have to realize that you have to reassess often, because life transitions, all the time. So we have to stay fluid. So in my closing thoughts, I just want to share with you, self-care is not doing your nails. It's not doing your hair. It's about ensuring that the 5 domains of self, the physical, the social, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional, are all being nurtured. You have to assess and you have to make a self-care plan. And if you don't know how, if you're having a problem, you need to consider reaching out and acquiring life coaching services. So if you found that any of this information that I presented in today's session was of value, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to Suuthing Talks, please go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notifications to ensure that every time new content is released, you will be the first to get it. To my community, I hope that you've enveloped the good vibes that will hopefully enhance your everyday life. I am Suzanne Leid. I thank you for sharing this soothing session. Until next time, God bless.